Welcome to our second live stream here on YouTube. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you guys are here. There's no one here yet, but all of you watching on playback. We're so glad that you guys decided to join us and watch this video. We just wanted to go live again. We did it last time. It was fun. This time I got Tasha with me.
He might not be here the whole time, depending on how he does.
And the other kids.
And the other kids who are still awake.
Oh, we got one viewer. If you're viewing the video, let us know in the comments. We got two. Welcome, guys. We're not alone. Let us know in the comments if you're watching, whether it's live or in playback. Today we're going to discuss a couple of things that you guys asked on the channel over the last couple videos. We've got one person, Love Life 1826.
Hi.
Welcome. We're going to talk about our parenting later on in the video and how that's going. We had a fairly intense vlog like 3 months ago about parenting and things have developed since then, and we want to share more. I don't know if we have like a completed thought there, but definitely some process. And first, we're going to start talking. We're going to talk about Norway and what it's like being here in America and not living in Norway anymore after living there for 2.5 years. We moved back in late February, so we're 4 months now. Is that right? 4 months in the States. Someone asked, do we miss Norway? What do we miss about Norway? So we're going to talk about that. And then last in the video, I'm going to talk some about the content of the video and how it's shifting and changing, and just share a little bit more about how things are kind of changing. And I would love to hear y'all's feedback around what you guys want to see and how you want to see it played out, because it's kind of in formation right now. So I will put some codes down below where you can click into the thing you're interested in. So if you're interested in the parenting but not the Norway stuff, or just click the chapter down below and it'll take you forward to that part of the stream, because it'll probably be chatting for a while. Yeah. All the fun stuff. So I'm Phil.
I'm Natasha. This is Elijah, our
This
youngest.
is Elijah. I guess we should do an update on Elijah. Since last time. Update on Elijah. Here we go. Elijah is doing really good. Look at this cutie.
He just had his last surgery.
Hopefully. Last plane surgery this month.
Over a week ago.
Yeah.
And
end of June.
doing really well. You can see he just turned 6 months now. And he's quite healthy. Yeah, the surgery went really well.
He's recovering really well. His stitches are healing, and he's doing all the healthy things he's supposed to be doing. It's sort of a process. We're not sure exactly how this is going to look going forward, but for now, it's looking good.
Yep.
Can you guys hear us? Love Life 1826. Can you hear us? I've seen audio come through, but I just want to make sure that we're not sitting here talking. You can't hear us. So Elijah's doing great, and this next couple of weeks is going to be just key to see, that he continues to do well and that he's healthy, and then we'll have a checkup in about a month and a half.
Yes.
They can hear us. Perfect.
Is that 22 people?
2 people.
This day.
2 people is a little less than 2. So let's talk about Norway.
I think the question was, what do you miss most about Norway?
What do you miss about Norway? Do you miss Norway?
Yeah.
You want to go first? Do you miss Norway?
I mean, certain things about Norway, yes. I actually missed it more than I thought I would. I've had several days where it just kind of hits me. The other day, I was like missing the grocery store. It's so weird. I just had this like flashback of walking in a Norwegian grocery store, and I was like, "Oh, I miss that." And yeah, like all of our friends that are still there, that the Norwegians who live there, but also all of our other friends also that are still there, and Americans and stuff. They've been posting a lot of their summer vacation time in Norway, which is really July is their like vacation month in Norway, and so everyone is off and everyone's like going on road trips and like driving the fjords, and it's just really pretty. And,
This
like,
time of
I
year,
just remembered how beautiful it was there. Like the geography is just
there's nothing like summer in Norway.
yeah, it's just really
Winter has some really high points, but summer is just like beautiful and glorious. Like there was the challenge of the sun not going down until about midnight,
There's that.
and I don't miss that in terms of like getting good sleep. But I remember going down to the lake where
Yeah.
we lived at like 10 o'clock and going swimming in the water, you know, with like a really long sunset.
Just driving, like we only lived like 2 or 3 hours from big mountains. Maybe less than that.
5 hours
But,
from
like,
the
to
massive
get-
fjords.
Yeah, fjords a little bit further, but still not very far. And we went on several road trips during our time there,
Especially in
in
summer.
the summer, especially in July. And I just so pretty,
Mm-hmm.
really pretty. So
So you do miss it. What else do you miss? Do you miss?
I mean, I miss my friends there.
Yeah, that's true.
I miss, I miss the people at the YWAM base.
Anything you miss about like the food or
I mean, the bread is really good there, and like I haven't had a good reintroduction to American bread. It's not been so nice to my digestive tract since we got back. So I miss the bread and of course the brown cheese. We haven't
brown cheese?
I know HEB has it, but that's in Texas, so I don't know.
I
I'm sure
bet
there's a store
If I went really searching, we've been kind of trying to keep our grocery store trips brief.
Yeah,
I bet if I went searching, I could find it, but it's going to be really expensive. It was in Texas at least.
a small little block of it.
Mhm. I set up this camera. I'm going to switch to the second camera. There's our second camera. I do miss Norway. I think I'll start off by saying that like it was a challenge. Like it's a challenge living outside your home country, and I don't think I missed that part of the challenge yet. I feel like it's really nice being in our home country. It's nice being in a familiar place where we know what to expect, and we're in our home culture. And like in the midst of coronavirus and even the riots and things going on, it's not like it's been typical here, but I feel like in the midst of that, it's nice to be home.
Yeah.
And with what's been going on with Elijah, what's been going on with everything. So in some ways, I would say I don't miss Norway because I feel like, if I'm honest, I'm really glad to be here right now. But I definitely think it wouldn't be lying for me to say that I do miss Norway. I miss the beautiful nature. We lived on a farm, and it was just watching the fields get plowed all the time. And Love Life said, yes, I agree. When you're so used to where you are, then you move, you have to get used to the new place. Yeah, so there's definitely moments where it's like, oh, I miss like being on a farm. I miss the community, being around people all the time.
I think that is especially what I missed right at the beginning, because we moved into Kansas City right as it was getting shut down for COVID, and so we couldn't even like meet
See
friends.
people.
Like we would have totally been doing that first week, but
Yeah.
we couldn't. We were in shutdown, and so especially that first month here when it was like the whole crazy COVID stuff from March to April. It was really, that was when I was really struggling, because it was like, yes, I'm in the U.S., but I almost feel like I'm in a different country again. Like this doesn't feel like the U.S. because of all the COVID stuff.
It takes time to make friends. It takes time to like figure out who your friends are going to be and who you're going to connect with. And the best way to make friends is by running into them at church, at work. Like, and so we have been able to do that, especially at the YWAM base that's near our house. We've been over there met some families, but I haven't been working, and so there in a lot of ways it's felt kind of like we haven't really gotten to know people a ton. It's been slowed, and so I miss the fact that we have all these people we knew, and we would see them all the time, and we'd be constantly doing things together, working together and worshiping together. And
well, yeah, because I mean, in Norway, we're living on the base.
Yeah.
We're not living on the YWAM base here. And
so it can sometimes almost feel lonely here at the house because it's just like we don't have neighbors that we live next to that we just also work with or also see, all the time. So I think in that sense, I really miss the people and the places that we knew in Norway. I also miss the bread, and they have different quality food there. And like there are things I really miss about American food that I'm really thankful for here now. Like the ingredients for Mexican food is like so much easier to come by here. You can find like taco shells and tortillas in Norway, but like dried black beans and corn tortillas, I mean, they're just things you can't find in Norway. But then on the flip side, Norway just has really great hot dogs. They have really good bread.
I mean, once you buy it, really expensive.
Yeah, it's not that the expensive kind, they're good here. They're just, the one in Norway's are also good, like in a different way, in a unique way. Bella says that she only likes the hot dogs in Norway. She doesn't like hot dogs. Pizza.
Or sausages.
I miss speaking Norwegian.
Okay, so in general, I miss hearing other languages. Like when I ran into some other people at the YWAM base here that was just briefly were talking to their kids in a different language, and I think it was probably Chinese or something. But still, just hearing, I'm used to hearing multiple languages being spoken around me at the base in Norway. I mean, we spoke English a lot, but there was constantly people in talking in their own language to someone else who spoke that language. Anyway, and I've heard it a couple of times, and there's just this weird feeling of like home that makes me feel to hear it. The language I don't understand being spoken around me because it became so normal.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. So I mean, I miss. Like I can already feel myself forgetting words or trying to think through what was the word for that again, and so it's definitely a challenge of feeling like something that meant a lot to me is all of a sudden.
Love life has to go. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, thanks for joining us.
So yeah, I think I would say I do miss Norway. I miss the communication team, or people we were working with, and I miss Daniel, Ingrid. I have to name all of them.
All of you guys.
It's all of you guys. Christopher, Elstrom, people we saw and interacted with just a ton. Louisa, miss you guys. And I also love living in other countries, the mystery of it. I think we were getting to the point where Norway, there's still things about it we really didn't understand, but I felt like the mystery of it was wearing off some. And I miss that a little bit. I also don't miss it. It's also, we're leaving to be somewhere where like we understand more, but I also miss it.
I mean, Missouri is not Texas though.
It's true. It's definitely true. And we've been kind of exploring slowly, although it feels like we're exploring our yard and our house since we're stuck inside a lot.
Parks.
All right, so let's shift gears towards the second question. If you have any questions, whether it's now while we're live or when you're watching this back later, write them down below. We'd love to hear your questions. We might answer them if it's a short question right there in the comments, or we might address it in our next live video. So we love getting to interact with you guys. The reason we're doing these live streams, I heard that if you want to grow community, that live stream is a great way to do it. And so that's really the reason behind this. In some ways, it's fun for me to shoot vlog style and cut it together, and we're going to continue to do that kind of video primarily, but we're wanting to do this to create community and to get to know you guys and hear from you about what you care about and what you're thinking and how you engage with our content and with the topics that we talk about. So let us know in the comments below what you're thinking. But let's shift towards the second question, and that question was, how is parenting going? I think that one of the questions that I read was, is it challenging to have 4 kids as a missionary, to be a parent of 4 kids as missionaries?
I think it's challenging.
Parenting is challenging. Parenting the more kids you have, the more challenging it is, I think. And
it's not quality, it's quality.
yeah. So yes, parenting is very challenging, and I think especially in missions, it's challenging. To me, it's not really that all of a sudden parenting becomes like it's not hard before and then it becomes hard then. It just becomes harder. And so if there's areas that you maybe aren't super strong in, or that you're weak in, when you're in your home culture, when you're in your kind of, you know, your environment, you know, your home, you know, your community, everything's kind of normal, then you have that support structure around you. And then leaving it and going to another country and leaving your family, your friends, your community, your job, all those things behind, it just means that there's less holding up your emotions, less that is keeping you from getting tired. And when you're more tired and when you're more emotional, then parenting becomes harder, and it's because it like takes away some of that strength you have, or that grace you have to kind of be a better parent than you actually are deep down, sort of. Am I saying it right? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's support structure. It's grandparents, it's aunts and uncles, cousins, close friends, their kids, close friends. For us, it was our friends' kids.
Yeah.
You know, it's the church community. It's, you know, you don't have all of that built-in support. We lived in the same town for 10 years before. And so, you know, we just had, like, we could call anyone. We had a list of like 6 people. You could just call it off the hat. Hey, with your kids, or any of those kinds of things. So I think you can build that again in your new location, but it's in a country. There's just so many things. Like, it would take longer than 10 years to rebuild that whole setup again. And so in a way, I think it's the aloneness that makes it hard.
It puts stress on your whole system. Like, it puts stress on everything. And so if something seemed kind of easy before, that might become hard, and then that makes everything else harder. I mean, it makes everything more intense, more difficult. That doesn't mean that everything about it is bad. Okay. Look at it, little buddy. So I think for me, that's really the challenge in it, is the fact that it makes, like, every part of your life is harder, not just the parenting, also your marriage, also your finances, also your grocery shopping, and your, like, just every aspect of your
getting a license.
I had to learn how to drive manual, and then we had to learn to, like, do roundabouts and.
Yes, at least you didn't drive on the opposite side, but yeah, there was some new things to do.
So all of that new stuff compounded, like.
It's like 12 or 15 things stacked on top of each other.
That makes the family part harder. Like, it's just a part of everything else is harder. And I think for us in particular, neither one of us are, like, I might be speaking for you here on this, because if I'm wrong. Neither one of us is, like, really, really, really naturally kid people. Like, we're not just like, oh, I want to do a game and a craft and have fun. Like, I'm not engaged with a 4-year-old, like, naturally.
Well, I used to think that I was, but
I can do it, but it's not something that I'm just like, oh, let me do this. This sounds so exciting. Like, I'm not a preschool teacher. Like, that's not my lot in life. And so, like, we're selfish. We're wanting to take care of our own needs, and we're tired, and so it becomes harder to meet other people's needs. And they're feeling it too. They're feeling the challenges of leaving their friends, leaving their home, not understanding the language.
They had to deal with the language way more than we did.
They were, like, in it all the time.
They didn't have a choice because they're in a school where no one else really, like, the kids don't, at that age, don't speak English yet.
So, like, you're trying to make friends in a new place, but you're also
the teachers aren't going to speak in English because it's an Arabian school, and
they spoke English a little bit.
They
helped
helped,
them.
But
the kids did great, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. And so, yes, it's very challenging being a parent and a missionary at the same time, being a parent in a foreign
especially
country.
if you're in another country.
Yeah.
But I would assume we haven't done it yet, but we're about to be missionaries in our new country.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that will be compared to living here as not being missionaries.
Yeah. So a little parenting update. We talked about the challenges between kind of our upbringing and our culture in parenting, and then the culture of Norway in parenting. I'm not going to go like deep into that, but we talked a lot about struggling with how do we approach parenting. And if you're a parent, you know there's a million voices out there and a lot of people that have very strong opinions about how you should parent. And if you parent this way, you're totally wrong and you're hurting your kids, or you're whatever. And the internet is just full of people that are happy to tell you all that. A lot of our friends and stuff, I mean, they haven't been like that crazy about it, but you also, when you're hanging out with friends, you feel when they do things different than you, and you're trying to figure out, how do I do this? And I think last time I was pretty confused. I talked to Natasha about it afterwards. She seemed to think that she was less confused than me. I was mostly the one that was bringing the confusion into the parenting. So I've been reading some parenting books, and I don't want to go into like everything that we're thinking about parenting because it is a dicey topic. But there's something that really connected with me as I was reading the book. It was talking about going to the Bible and what the Bible says about parenting. And I think for me, I realized that the world has lots of opinions about lots of things, but we as Christians are meant to start with the Bible. That's the source of
it wasn't really a new concept to you.
No, it's not a new concept. But I realized that like some of the most basic scriptures on parenting in the Bible, or directed towards kids in the Bible, were ones that I was kind of almost discounting. Like there's a verse that says, children, obey your parents, for this is right, this is good. And I remember feeling like parents who use that verse are just kind of popping out like, I'm playing the God card, you have to obey me because God says to. And like I hadn't really thought about why did God say it that way, or what's going on there. And I realized as I wrestled through it that God is wanting to teach children obedience and the goodness of obeying a father from parenting. That's what he wants to do. And if we lean into that, we're blessing our kids. Like it's good. This is right that the kids would obey their parents. And I feel like I was wrestling with this idea of like, should I convince my kids or guide my kids or help them want to do the right thing? And I realized that like it's my biblical job as a parent to tell my kids what to do. Like, and that can sound like me as an authoritarian person coming in and saying like, I'm going to tell you what to do.
Authority is not bad though.
But we our culture, we see authority as bad.
We don't see authority as good.
And I think I realized that I'm meant to bless my kids by telling them what is good and what is right and calling them to do it.
But how else are they going to learn? Like, who's going to teach them? Like, you don't naturally learn how to do that unless someone teaches you.
It says like talking about God, it says no child didn't undergo the discipline of a father, and like it legitimized them as sons. Like it made them, it meant that God loved them, or their father loved them, that they disciplined them. And later in that verse, when it says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, this is good, but later on it says, fathers, do not exasperate or make your kids angry. But then also says, but train them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. And I realized like that's my role, is to bring up in seeing the Bible and seeing God and seeing wisdom, and the book of Proverbs is full of wisdom, and my son, do not forsake my teaching. And realizing I need to carry this role as a father of a teacher and someone who teaches my kids what's right and what's good. And I have to take that mantle on, and authority isn't bad. And I have to reject that by being a good authority. Like I have to serve and love my kids. Like the goal of my parenting is not to make my life easier, or for them to serve me, or for me to get to tell them to stop annoying me or stop making my life hard. My job when I'm instructing them is to instruct them in the ways of the Lord. And so I don't need to be afraid of being a good father who's also commanding, who's also like even demanding obedience out of the biblical truth of it. And that doesn't make parenting easier. It's not like, oh wow, now I just get to tell my kids what to do. It makes it harder because I have to take that responsibility and that weight of leadership of being like, what I say is what God is telling them that they need to do. I need to make sure I say the right things. I need to make sure I guide them well, teach them well. So it's really caused me to like go to scripture and say, like, what does the scripture say about, like, even I was reading about what the Israelites were told, you know, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. It says, teach this to your children, talk about it when you're at home, talk about it when you go out, you know.
Bind it to your forehead.
Yeah, write it on your heart, on the tablet of your heart. So it's like this idea of like, I'm meant to be that for my kids. And I think as a Christian, sometimes in the culture, I have this tendency to think, well, I don't want to tell my kids what the truth is. I'll let them figure that out for themselves. It's kind of this humanist, like, believe what you want to believe.
Well, it's believing that men is inherently good, which is not true.
You're going a whole deep direction there. But my point is that I have to believe that if I believe that God is good, I believe that Scripture is truth, and that we should lead our kids in truth. So, like, if I believe that, I need to take that very seriously and engage it. And that's not really necessarily about culture. I think in the world today, all of human culture is pushing away from the truth of God and the fact that there's an absolute, that there's something that's right and that's wrong. So. So anyway, I won't say any more now. There's a lot that could be dicey around that. I mean, even that's dicey. Some of you may not agree.
I would say I'm sure people agree. But we feel like we are more on the same page when it comes to how we do things, which is really great.
I was confused, and I wasn't sure where we were landing in the whole process. And when Tasha was more sure. She was more like, we need to do what the Bible says, or we need to do what we. She was more confident in it. And so once I got to the place where I was like, okay, I'm with you now. I'm agreeing, and I'm less confused, and I'm more clear on this. You know, like just on.
I was like, I didn't touch it.
You were reaching back there.
I didn't touch it though.
Once I got clearer, then it was like, okay, we're in unity all of a sudden, because you are.
It wasn't like a huge. I mean, it was a huge difference, but it was like one or two things. If
you don't know where you're going, if you don't have clarity, then it's really hard to unify with someone to make progress. Like, you need to know where you're going. You need to know what you're doing. And I was confused. And I think being in Norway, out of my own culture, and then coming back to my culture, it like brought that confusion from sort of in the background to like, oh, this is something I need to think intentionally about and make a decision on. And in doing that, I think I'm now less confused. But there's definitely a lot of hard work ahead of us, and I don't think we're like all of a sudden rocking it as parents.
Oh no,
we're learning. We're starting back. You know, we're starting a new sort of approach, so it takes more time to kind of learn it. We started recently trying to have like family worship in the evenings where we read the Word, we pray, sing. We didn't do it this evening. Get ready for the live stream. Rough. All right, well, let's shift gears to talking about writing the vlog. I don't know if you're welcome to stick around. I'd love to have you stick around, but you're also welcome to go.
He's happy, so I can see.
As long as he's happy.
We'll see.
So I've always been kind of the person that just wants to like turn the camera on and start talking about anything random. And Tasha is much more of like a writer, where she wants to think through and then like process it inside, and then once it's fully processed, then it can come out.
6 points and subtopics.
So like when we first started vlogging, it was just like, we want to film every week and we're just going to try and do this. But as we have started to focus the content of the vlog specifically around missions, there's a need to kind of ask the question, like, it's actually really helpful, like, what are we trying to accomplish? And we've talked about wanting to accomplish the vision of helping talk about our missions experience honestly, so we can remove obstacles from others' paths of obedience to God. That's kind of the vision here. And so all of a sudden I start to realize, wow, there's a ton of obstacles, and how do we approach talking about those? And that's a big topic. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about how we can approach content writing, and specifically asking how you guys feel about it In a lot of ways, I've thought about even these live streams or some of these other long form places being places that I can externally process or talk with you, hear your questions, engage the topics, and then from there write the content and go form a blog. I've also thought about, and I was working this week on Am I a Missionary, a video that I'm working on. And I was writing out the content for it and thinking, what do I want to say? What is it that I could just turn the camera on and talk for 10 minutes and have a vlog, but I wanted to have like clarity to what I was saying. So what I'm asking you guys, and I want you to let me know in the comments now and after, if you're watching this tomorrow or something like that, is would you enjoy, those of you who watch everything we post, would you enjoy hearing the longer dialogue about these topics and kind of hearing them kind of fleshed out, or would you prefer to just hear it straightforward in the video, like final product, if that makes sense? And I'm not saying that we'll do all of one or all of the other, but I'm curious if you guys would enjoy having a longer form dialogue with some back and forth around some of these topics and hearing like longer processing about some of this stuff related to missions. I probably will try it, but I'm curious if you guys want to comment below what you think.
Maybe you don't like talk about some of the topics that you're thinking of, or
yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about things like, how do we define missionary? I'm thinking about how do we know if we're called, what is calling, what's biblical about calling. Hey, you trying to take it over?
I don't want to talk, Dad.
There's the concepts around, like, I realize a lot in going into Norway how the world is not all, like, in some ways, when you leave your home country, the whole world is not your home country. Like, but the whole world is not the same in terms of what missions looks like, and realizing the difference between frontier missions and evangelized nations and some of that. I've thought about fundraising. Like, let me know if you'd like a fundraising live stream, because I could like say a lot more in a live stream than I could in like a 10-minute video. So I could do like a live stream on like the biblical foundations of fundraising.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Sound like he's screaming.
I think he's screaming no. I could do like a live stream on fundraising. There's a lot to say there. I've actually taught on it, but it's pretty hard to figure out what do I say in 10 minutes. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I guess the question is, do you like this longer form 40 minutes on a topic or on a couple topics, or in some ways this feels lower quality or lower value than our that are really curated, nicely done vlogs. Interested in the fundraising live stream, Emmanuel?
Emmanuel, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard people say they're interested in fundraising stuff, and I'm interested to share on it. It's definitely not like the area that I'm like super trained in, so it's interesting to go on the internet and say, here's how you fundraise. We did get training on it from some really fantastic people, Support Raising Solutions. I really recommend them. They've got seminars in the U.S. that you can go to, like 2 days. The guy who runs that, he wrote a book called The God Ask. Like, if we were to share, it would basically be like, this is what they teach. And we have our own kind of experience on it, so I feel like we could talk about it, and it wouldn't be like reading off their notes. It would be like talking from our experience. I think we would be able to add value, and it wouldn't be like we were just stealing their teaching. And we would definitely point you, like, if you got something from our live stream or from our fundraising live stream or fundraising teaching, my hope would be that it wouldn't be like, okay, now I'm trained. It would be like, oh, I should go get fully trained from Support Raising Solutions. So, yeah, let us know if you're interested in the long form content, these longer conversations, and what topics you would want us to hit on. I'm also curious, like, now that we're zeroed in on the idea of obstacles to obedience, obstacles to missions, I'm curious what your obstacles are. Like, fundraising is obviously a big one, and I think some of you guys have expressed that. What other obstacles? Yeah. Love you, Betty.
See you guys.
Thanks for joining me this time.
Yep, gotta go put him to bed.
We're almost done anyway. So yeah, I'm curious, like, what are the obstacles that you guys feel like you have to missions? Like, what has kept you from going on the mission field? Do you feel like there is an obstacle, or do you feel like it's just you're waiting for God's timing? Is it the question of like, where do I go, or what do I do? So I'm curious what y'all's obstacles are. Let me know what those are. And I think we're going to start jumping into those. I definitely think we will talk about fundraising. Like, there's no way not to. At least talking about it, maybe not from the perspective of like, let me train you, but more from the perspective of like, here's why this isn't as big of an obstacle as you think it is. It is an obstacle, but here's why it isn't as big as you think it is. And like the basic idea there, like I won't go into the full teaching on it, but the basic idea there is that a lot of people set themselves up wrong for fundraising. Like they go into it with less preparation and less of a plan, and a really small, like what they do plan on doing is meeting with too small of a group of people, not enough people, and then they don't talk about fundraising or set up their meetings in a way that makes it easy on them and makes it easy on the people they're meeting with and makes it no pressure. And that pressure thing of like, oh, you got to give to me, that's really what makes it exhausting. So I think our fundraising experience was fantastic. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of mistakes that people make that makes their fundraising a lot harder. So I'm hearing you guys say that you're interested in that. I'm definitely going to approach that topic at some point. Thanks, Emmanuel, for your comment. If you're here, let me know you're here in the feed. I know Love Life had to take off. Let me know. I've got 3 viewers. Who's here? What are you thinking? I got like, I'm going to end this video in like 3 minutes. So I'm curious if any of you guys are here. You don't have to ask a question if you can't think of something. Just say hello. Nice to see you. So yeah, that's the question around the content. I'm going to start writing it out more. I'm also curious if there's any of you guys, and this is for those of you who just watched the whole 40-minute video, that watch everything we watch. Thanks guys for being faithful watchers. Are there any of you that would be interested in being a part of like maybe a feedback team where I could send videos to and ask for feedback before we post them, or ask for feedback on thumbnails or on titles? I'm kind of interested in getting, a few people that maybe don't know us personally, that have met us face to face, that are like really interested in what we're doing, that we can kind of send stuff to and have a dialogue with, maybe like a messenger group or something like that. I thought about making a Facebook group, like a missionary Facebook group, where people can talk about missions topics in there. That's another way to go about the community building. I don't know if I'm ready to like launch that and put a lot of effort into that at this moment, but let me know if that sounds interesting to you. Generally speaking, we're just thinking about how do we create space to have those conversations and enjoy kind of having a back and forth with you guys. So let us know in the comments. If this is your first video with us, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. We are Some Honest Missionaries. We're really thankful to have this place where we can kind of interact with you guys and hear from you. Hi, Ojuk Soda. Maybe someone from, that sounds like a Turkish name almost. Hello, nice to meet you. Where are you going home? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Yes, this is our home here, and we live in Kansas City. Oh, you're Turk. Merhaba, nasılsınız, iyi misin? I used to live in Turkey. I lived there for 2 years. I love Turkey. Turkey is amazing. Amazing country, amazing people, amazing food, man. Hope I can go back to Turkey one day. İyiyim. Teşekkür ederim. I don't have a whole lot of my Turkish still hanging around, but some of it's there. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. I'm thinking maybe we'll do this again in 2 weeks. And I will see you guys in the next video. We're ending now.